So very quick, I just want to like to thank and congrats with the ETHMilan organizers for putting together such great event. I mean, location is cool, vibe is nice, networking as well. I'm glad to have you here, Johann. I would like to cover a few topics with you today, splitting between macroeconomics first and then correlation with crypto market, and then shift the focus toward more, of course, like Robinhood, its mission, and your plan, guys, to enter like European market and Italy, of course.
Does it? Yeah. It's a great pleasure to be here. It's actually my first time in Milan, so really excited to be in such a place, and I actually love this theater, so really cool place to do a chat. Yeah, I think for us, we launched in the EU last year, and we have our license in Italy. So Italy is going to become one of our top focus market for the next few years, and we're really excited. I think like the way that we've seen Italian embracing the product and embracing crypto in general is very exciting for someone who has been in the space for a long time. We want a lot more people like here in this space to build on top of the technology and create more use cases.
Awesome. So welcome to Italy. So on the macroeconomics like landscape, so we got like the 50 BPS cut last week, and Fed suggesting that it's not going to be any recession sometime soon. Dot plot saying like 2% GDP end of the year, 4.4 unemployment, and then down to 4.2 like in 2 years from now. And core inflation 2.6. Let's see the CPI later today. And market basically all-time high, except for consumer discretionary actually. What's your view on that? I mean, do you think Powell is going to be successful in achieving soft landing?
I mean, I think it's a pretty difficult topic. Like we've always had this kind of question that are being asked on the Robinhood side. When the rates were very low, we were seeing a bit more trading activity, and then when the rate increased, we see customer actually saving assets a bit more and putting them on the side. So for me, like the main focus has been to make sure that we have the right product set, no matter what the kind of the rates are and the economics are. And so we've been really focusing on that. For example, in the EU, we offer a promotion around 15% rewards for USDC. And that way, like people that don't really want to trade in this economics can actually still make their get rewards for their money. On the soft landing, I think it's going to be complicated. Like if you think about all the macroeconomics happening in the world right now between multiple wars and things like that, I think it will take a bit more than just the rates.
So if you translate all of this into the crypto market, I mean, I'll give you a few facts on this. It was the BlackRock paper last week saying, again, to allocate a tiny portion of BTC into like 60-40 portfolio to increase the Sharpe ratio. And seasonality, right, of BTC on average is a green month, October, and Q4 as well, like 88%. And central bank are cutting rate, like US, Europe, Switzerland yesterday as well. Japan, UK, Australia holding rates. And the 16 billion, I guess, the FTX creditor repayment coming in a couple of weeks into liquidity. So again, what's your forecast? I mean, do you think, are we going to have like October and any bull run in before end of the year?
Yeah, so I think one thing that is pretty funny on what you said is, if you think about it, right, like BlackRock is recommending to actually hold BTC in terms of a reserve. So if you think about 10 years ago, and we will have said something like Bitcoin is going to be a stable reserve for your economics, we went a long way from that time, so it's still pretty interesting to see that. Like I think overall what we expect this half, there might be volatility. There is all the elements that you mentioned. There are also the election in the US. We also saw some election in Europe, France as well, like in the past few months. So all of this usually create a lot of instability in the market. So we do think that there will be a bit of questions and volatility. But like I said, like overall, our plan is to offer the tools to make sure that people can access the investment that they want and that they can get in or out if they need to.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to mention that you mentioned the US election as well. I mean, I believe there are going to be like two macro market mover, like Japanese inflation that can force BOJ to increase rates, even if they just release like inflation going down early this morning, and then US election. So on this point, I mean, how do you think is going to impact the crypto market, like the strategic reserve of Trump versus democratic side?
Yeah, I think it's something that we look at it closely as a US big player and a US company as well. So what has been interesting, I think, is to see the candidates really taking position on the crypto space. Obviously, I'm sure you've heard about Trump at Bitcoin Nashville conference, and since then he's been using Bitcoin to pay or something like that. I think a few days ago we also heard of Harris actually saying that she wanted to put crypto and AI as first in the country. So I think this is very very exciting for us. Like I think it shows that they are taking the problem seriously. That they heard the complaint that it was hard to build crypto in the US. And so it sounds like there will be changes no matter what of the administration will have next year. And for us as a company, we've been existing since more than a decade, and so we had multiple administration. We had both Democrats and Republican. So our goal is to make sure that we can work with whoever is in the office. But hopefully we can keep doing our work to push for more clarity around regulation for crypto. I think even if it's US focused, it has a huge impact in the EU and in the rest of the world. Like the VC space and investment space in the US is big, and a lot of crypto companies are still there. And so I'm hopeful that we can keep them over there and that we can keep building so the space benefit from all of this.
So if we shift the focus on to Robinhood, I mean, I made a brave survey like these days in Milan, and it looks like the audience out there knows like Robinhood for being like the benchmark at lowering barriers to entry. I mean, I remember the zero fees on stocks, right? And all the GME saga and etc. So what's your role? Mentioning also your guys' mission, right, to democratize finance. How can you do that? How will you do that into crypto ecosystem?
Yeah, so a lot of our focus has been to make it easy. I think as an ex-engineer, I feel like crypto has been made by engineer for engineer. Like, we are asking a lot of complexity just to set up a wallet, to transact and all these kind of things. So a lot of our focus has been to make sure that we make it easy to use. And the second thing has been around fee. So we really want to reduce the fee. Like if you're someone who wants to get into the space, you want to get on a DApp or buy an NFT or whatever you want to do, and you have to pay fees all across the way. At some point, it's frustrating. Like as a user myself, like when I want to do something and every time I have to pay more and more, it's really frustrating. So we've been focusing on lowering cost. So in average, we are the lowest cost platform to trade any of the 35 assets that we have on the platform. And on Bitcoin and ETH, we actually completely slashed everything, and you pay zero fee, zero commission, zero markup. And for us, the main focus is that we want people to be able to use it. We think that if you can get into Ethereum and you can start seeing kind of what's the other side, you can start playing with the Web3 world, you can start seeing all of what we have to offer, you will get a lot more interested. So, when we saw some of our competitors charging 3%, 4%, 5%, like it just didn't sit well with us. And so for us, that's a big part of democratizing finance, is making it accessible no matter how much you're paying or how much you're trading. And then the second thing is around education. Like I said, I think it's difficult to get into crypto, and so we invested a lot in learning content, modules. You can also get rewards if you do some of the modules. And the goal is really just to, again, like you get some exposure, and then maybe the first time you just get €1 in Bitcoin or in Ethereum, but then you're going to start paying more attention, you're going to start following the news, and you will become a bit more like interested in the space.
I mean, so empowering like a new generation of investors and helping them to build their own wealth. On the Q2 earning release, so like 40% year over year net revenue, and the crypto vertical like 160%, like more than 80 million, right, net revenue. So what's, let's say, the secret of that? How can you guys achieve such a great result?
Well, it's good you know my numbers better than me. I think the main focus has been kind of staying true to what I just explained, like, you know, staying true to cost. So, you know, last year when there was less trading activities, we saw a lot of our competitors like actually increasing price more and more in multiple percentage. We actually tried to stay where we were and you know, keeping the product as accessible as before. And since then, we've been able to see that we've grown in market share. And the second thing that we've been doing is being a bit more invested in the community. So we launched our own self-custody wallet. We are available in 140 plus countries, and we saw a lot of usage from people being able to actually use crypto, not just to trade or invest, but also to get into the Web3 world. And some of our partnership have been also pretty interesting. Arbitrum is one of them. So, you know, a lot of the Ethereum community has been really helpful for us to gravitate into a better place in the crypto space.
I mean, mentioning community, you guys are going to have like the very first meetup offline next month, right?
Yeah, that will be in Miami, and that's really about talking about some new products that are coming, but also the goal is to have a direct line of communication with some of our users. I think something that I like about this event, for example, and more of the events that we are doing is getting the product feedback. You know, like when we are able to talk to people like you guys here and you know, see you using the app, see you using the product, we're able to see what's working, what's not working, like what are the problems that we should change, what are the features that you're really looking to, and you know, having this direct communication is so helpful. And I actually love this kind of smaller events because it's a lot easier to actually talk to people face to face. And you know, sometimes when you go to the big conference, it's all about B2B and institutional business. So here it's a bit more like human, I will say.
Yeah, it is. So on the expansion plan, you enter into an agreement, right, to acquire Bitstamp in June. I mean, centralized exchange, they have like more than 50 licenses, right? Europe, UK, Asia, Australia. If you can say something on why you guys are choosing Bitstamp, and if this is the way for you basically to enter straight away Europe and also the Asian market.
Yeah, so there was like 3 big reasons for the Bitstamp acquisition. The first one is a global expansion, like you mentioned. They have 50 global licenses, Singapore, UK, the EU. So that's a big step forward for us. So we can, you know, really rapidly grow into this market. The second reason is they are an exchange. Robinhood is actually a marketplace, so we don't match orders internally. And we think that, you know, having an exchange is going to actually be helpful for us to build like new features, advanced order types, like this kind of more advanced product that some investors are looking for. And the third thing that they have is established institutional business. You know, they offer like crypto as a service, for example. They have APIs that institution can connect to. And so for us, it's going to be able to give us diversification of revenue. Robinhood was always focused on customers, B2C retail. And so thanks to that acquisition, we also have now a business, institutional business arm.
And so what's the main difference for you guys to manage the business? Like for say I'm a Robinhood user in US, I have some feature that I cannot do it if I'm in Europe and vice versa. So how can you manage that, and how does impact for you guys having like two type of regulation specifically?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the best in the world would be that we are just able to have the same platform everywhere, but unfortunately with a different regulation and different rules around some of the products, we can't do that. I think for the crypto space, our product in the EU is a lot more advanced. We have staking for Solana, we have 35 plus assets, and so we've been able to really push on the crypto product. On the US side, we're a bit more limited, but we also offer stocks, for example. So you have a bit more like combination of different asset types. I think, are in a position where we are in the future, we should be able to actually bridge the gap between traditional finance and crypto. If you think about how blockchain technology is, you can actually solve a lot of the problems that we have with equities. And we don't have to deal with daily settlements and things like that. Like everything could be immediate and could actually remove a lot of the issues that there is on the traditional finance side. So we actually think that blockchain can solve a lot of this problem, and tokenization of real-world assets is something that we are really excited about. And the EU regulation being a bit more advanced, I will say, I think it's going to be a prime market for us to experiment.
So if you narrow down like within the European space, you're targeting firstly like Italy and Poland.
Yeah, so currently we have 3 licensed markets, Lithuania, Poland, and Italy. And that's where we are doing like a lot of efforts, like coming to this kind of events and being a bit more visible on the marketing side. We're also able to support other customers based on regulation, depending on the countries and everything. But really, Italy is going to be one of our main markets right now.
Okay, so specifically this event, how do you guys like choose what event to sponsor, and what's the criterion behind that?
So we actually do a lot of Ethereum events. I think there is a lot of energy that I love here. Like, people are actually building and not just waiting on whatever is going to happen next. So we contributed to a lot of ETH events, either in Denver, or we went to Brussels as well this year. But I think we're really excited about these kind of smaller events where we can actually talk to people, like I was mentioning before. And also, I think Milan is a beautiful city, so it's all the nice thing in the world combined, basically.
So you have any specific like launch to say for us, for the Italian users?
Not really anything particular that is brand new, but like I said, like the no fee, lowest cost on BTC and ETH is something that we're really excited about and proud to be able to offer. And some of the staking offers that we have on Solana and rewards on USDC is like kind of our top value props right now. And we have a lot more to come. We will announce in the next few months a lot more things, so stay tuned.
So if you think about like the future of Robinhood, I mean, someone say, oh, it's going to be like a super app, because you guys, especially in US, you have credit card, debit card, like loan, stocks, crypto. So what Robinhood really want to be like in the future?
Yeah, I mean, really, we want to be the app that takes care of all your finance, and ideally in a better way than any other thing. So to your point, in the US, we are a lot more advanced in terms of the product suite. I think in the EU, we are going to just keep doing our work. But I think, what we are seeing from the Robinhood side is like there are 2 big innovations. There is crypto and blockchain that we think can power the finance world of tomorrow. Like I was saying, like we can optimize a lot more the flows of a lot of instruments. We can reduce the cost because we will be able to remove middlemen. We're able to reduce the number of people that it takes to operate a financial institution. So there's a lot of things that we are planning on doing on that side. And the second thing that we are seeing is on the AI side. I know it's it's a big word that everyone is throwing around, but if you think about the intersection between the two, there are really a lot of things that we can build, and I think it's going to be an exciting few next year for the TradFi world.
Cool. So are we going to see any combination of AI within Robinhood itself?
I think we are definitely, it's something that we're taking seriously. We think that that's going to reduce a lot of friction on a lot of product. Like you can really give more thought through products through AI, either through improving our internal processes. So for example, helping engineer code faster, or helping engineer find bugs in a more easy way, to helping our CX teams to actually have more detailed answers and things like that, so we can reduce waiting time. But you can also think about products like where AI could actually help you understand like what's going on in the markets, give you summaries of all the news, like these kind of things. I think we are very early in our exploration, but I really think that it's going to be one of the big next thing in the next 5 years.
Yeah, because I guess, it's not easy, right, to acquire a new user, especially the market is quite competitive out there. And so when entering a new market, say now you say, okay, I want to go Europe, and then what's the plan for you when you say I want to narrow down, I go Italy first and then Poland? What kind of KPI you keep in mind, and what kind of work you do, like in preparation for that? Yeah,
so we are a big business in the US. We have 25 million customers. So we know how to grow businesses, and hopefully we can replicate that in more countries. But the main thing that we're looking at in terms of KPI would be like, number of users, number of users that are funding their account and using the product, and not just once, like what are they doing? Are they just keeping their assets on the platform, or are they also on-ramping or off-ramping from Web3? So, we kind of try to look at all of this. And in terms of how to acquire a user, our strategy has always been pretty basic and simple. Is like we just want to give the best cost in general. Like we feel like this is a very important part. And the second thing is we want to make it easy. And so the Robinhood app is pretty well known for its UI UX. We try to reduce as much friction as possible, and worked well in the US. Hopefully we can do that in the EU as well.
No, I tried out myself, and the onboarding is pretty quick, actually. So
okay, good.
Yes.
Otherwise, I would have screamed at the onboarding people.
Okay. I just want to leave like the last couple of few minutes more, because the audience asked me if I want to ask something to Robinhood. Cool. If anybody want to ask something to John, I will pass the microphone.
Are you sure they asked something?
They asked me that overall. Yes, there is one.
Yeah. So, I wanted to ask, like, we're seeing all institutions coming in right now, and we're seeing a lot of progress with banks and institutions, and also, maybe Trump the president get against this fight, and we don't have this SEC board. But what I want to ask is that maybe if there's all if there's all these kinds of institutions, like is decentralization, is it still going to be preserved? Because we're seeing also like all these kinds of stable coins, USDC, USDT, they're all centralized. So what I want to ask is, are we giving up decentralization to favor regulation, or can we keep the decentralization ethos that is the fundamental of crypto? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's something that we think a lot about as well, because as a big player, we also we have a lot of assets under custody and things like that. So we try to keep that in mind. I think if you look at the institution, there is still a lot of things that they are doing to help. So for example, all these ETPs that are in Canada, they are staking their Ethereum, so they are contributing to the security of the network. The ETF actually are not doing it yet, so that's one of the risk a bit on the Ethereum side, where you have like this major AUCs that is actually not really contributing. But at the end of the day, like all the institutions are using either Bitcoin or Ethereum the way it's working, and we haven't changed our process or anything like that. And I think the beauty with either Bitcoin or either Ethereum has been that the way to validate transaction is still decentralized, and it's still something that is going to be decentralized for the rest of the world. There are some risk, like if you think about mining for Bitcoin, it's a bit more becoming an entire business by itself. Like, you need to have ASICs. If you want to have ASICs, you need to have a lot of money to be able to make orders. So we are seeing a bit more centralization happening, but there is still a large amount of retail that are doing it and helping us secure the network. On the stable coin, I think it's a bit of a, we need kind of both. Like if you want to really tokenize a real world assets, you have to comply with the rule of that actual assets, and I think if you think about stablecoin, it's still like one of the best use case of tokenization of a real world asset. Like it's something where I can explain to anyone, even my grandma, that this is what the stablecoin is doing, and you understand it right away because it's so much more efficient and so much easier. But to your point, like you have a lot more regulation coming in with MiCA and everything, so it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. I don't see one stablecoin that wins everything, frankly, and I think if you look at some of the current issues of some of the stablecoins that you can think of, like the big ones, I actually think that some disruption is a good thing, because if you have a stablecoin that doesn't have public reserve and doesn't have audits being performed, like for me that's worrisome. So I think a little bit of regulation can help prevent some of these issues. And if you think about it, like if we had some regulation in place around custody back in the FTX days, we will have also prevented the big mess that this was. So I try to think that not everything is bad about regulation. Like there are things that can be a positive. We just need to find the right balance where it doesn't block innovation.
Hi, I have a couple of questions actually. One of them might be more tricky than the other one. So the first one, it's easy. It's like, how do you see the adoption in general in the market, let's say in the e-commerce space of, at least in the United States, in integrating crypto payments? Because this is like a big thing for me. Like I would like to pay my stuff like with crypto, and today, at least in Europe, it's really hard to find marketplaces that allows you to pay directly in crypto. Do you have any plan about it? Do you have any idea? This is the first one. The second one, correct me if I'm wrong, I know that some years ago, Robinhood had some issues about pushing the user to invest or to buy or sell certain coins. And do you have an internal policy on how to manage that now with crypto? And how are you going to address the thing in general, not to make it like trading too addictive for people?
Yeah, great question. So I'm going to start with the easy one since it was the first one. On the payments, it's actually a very interesting thing that, my background is 14 years ago, I built my startup that was around payments rails for e-commerce website and apps. So at the time, we were only doing credit cards, and a lot of the merchant and customers that I had were complaining around, fraud, and people will do chargebacks, or they will, kind of hack credit cards, and the customer will lose money. So that's also when Bitcoin started, and at the time I was like, hey, this is a perfect solution, right? Like you have a final transaction, no chargebacks, no possible kind of issues. So we implemented it, and it didn't really work because 10 minutes block time and all these kind of issues. But I think the reality is that in the US and in the EU, we we have a decent system currently. Like credit cards are working pretty well. It's instant. It's supported everywhere. Like, you know, almost everyone is using it. And so I think that's why the adoption has been so difficult. It's because we have actually a system in place that is working. But in other countries in the world, like they didn't have the same kind of banking period of time where they didn't put in place like what we did in the 80s and in the 70s. And so I think for them, you actually see this jump to using crypto for paying everything online a lot more. And you also have countries where their current currencies are local currencies, you know, hyperinflation mode or like not in a great state. And so people are actually using crypto as kind of a reserve. So what we see from our retail user base is that people are using crypto to pay and engage a lot more in some of these other countries and in the EU and the US. But I'm pretty confident that we're going to start seeing that here as well. Like, you know, we were talking about stablecoin. It's still a lot cheaper to send stablecoin across the globe. If you want to do FX, it's going to be cheaper than using some of the platforms. So I think we're going to start seeing the adoption. It just needs to be a bit more implemented and popular. And on the second question, I think, you know, for us, the main focus is we want to give the tools that customer wants. So for example, everything on the app is customizable. So if you want to sign up for notification for specific assets because you're really interested in Bitcoin, you can do it. If you want to do it for, by default, it will be like a low volume of notification. You can select to have more like this kind of things, but we want to give the customer the choice. It's not really our business as a team to decide like what is good or not for the user. So we want to give the tools to them. They can decide to turn on the notification or turn them off. They can decide to trade or not at all. You know, like we've been investing in products that are not just purely trading. And since then, we've seen a lot of adoption of these other products. So that's going to be our focus for now. It's going to be to just diversify and offer more features.
I mean, actually, there are very nice reading on that, on the gamification of trading. And you can, there's always like both sides of the aspect, right? So for me, it's more like I give you the tools, right? And then, of course, I make it easier and maybe also like more fun to play, but you also empower like a new generation of investors, right? So give you the opportunity to someone to build their own wealth. So this is, I guess is the most important thing. So I guess we are running out of time. If you want to say something like very lastly on the Italian market.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I saw that there was one more question, so I'm happy to take it.
Yeah, sorry. Actually, so if you go to Robinhood.com, it redirects to Robinhood Crypto. So I'm curious if this choice of launching the crypto services first was influenced by regulation, or if it has like any strategic implications. Like if you can reflect a little bit on this.
Yeah, I think for us, what we're interested with the EU market is, you know, the MiCA regulation coming in place next year. We think that, you know, it's going to be a kind of a leveling game where, you know, if you're licensed under MiCA, you're able to offer your product and market all across the EU. And so if you think about the market size, now it becomes, you know, as big or bigger than the US. So that was an important part of our strategy where we decided to go crypto first in the EU. But, you know, we also launched our brokerage product in the UK. And so, you know, you can expect us to continue to expand. It's really part of our strategy now as a group.
Thank you.
Yes. Sorry, Andrea, just a quick question. In terms of listing strategy for Robinhood Crypto, how do you reconcile, you know, listing, you know, meme coins with a lot of volume, right? That's what the retail wants, and that's where the fees are generated mostly, with protecting retail. We know that with meme coins, liquidity is very much different, and it's a you know, it goes up by 10x, then minus 98%, right? We all know that. So in terms of listing strategy, just how do you guys go about internally knowing what to list, what not, and protecting people who are not as sophisticated, who will hold it to zero?
Yeah, so I think for us there are multiple things happening when we decide to list a coin. So the first thing and the most important is that we have an entire committee meeting for deciding on listing a coin or not, and we check a lot of the security elements. We want to make sure that we are able to send it and receive it and custody it in a way that is not going to create customer loss or anything like that. The second thing is operational. We want to make sure that there is enough liquidity. We know that Robinhood has a lot of volume, so we want to make sure that we can support that. And then we have plenty of other legal compliance analysis and technical analysis. So I will spare you the details, but for us, usually when we look at listing assets, we take into account also customer demand and what it brings to the market. The way that I see ourselves is that we are not the one to decide which coin is worthy or not of the success. A lot of the complaint that we heard about some of the more like meme coins, we heard them about Bitcoin and Ethereum like back in the days. Like, if I could tell you how many times I heard that Bitcoin was a scam and was going to zero, I could spend the day. And same thing with Ethereum, right? Like back in the 2016, 2017 days, a lot of people were very doubtful about the technology and what it was bringing to the space, and why was it even like worth it to invest in Ethereum versus Bitcoin. So for us, like we don't want to be in this game of deciding. I think some of the meme coin has also like some merits where back in 2020, for example, you couldn't really send easily some payments using Bitcoin because the network fee was super high, the time was super slow, and so when Dogecoin was available, you will spend like 1 or 2 cents in network fee, and the time to send was super fast, and mining was also cheaper. So, there was some stuff brought up by the coin, and so even if the icon was a dog, like I think there was a lot of use case developed around it. And so we're gonna basically keep doing that and making sure that we can support what customer really wants. And if you think about our strategy overall, we have 15 assets in the US, 35 in the EU. Like we are far from some of these casinos that we see online with 1,000 of assets listed every day and delisted every other week.
Thank you for this extra time as well. So I'm really looking forward to see the growth of the platform, like Europe and Italy, of course. And I'm glad again that you have been here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me,
Thanks
and
for
hopefully we'll see you soon.